Tingnan ko nga kung ano. Tingnan na natin kung ano yung mauna, no? Sige. Alright. Dun sa ating comment. Ayan, titingnan natin yung mga nagko-comment. O, Adeline, share. Share yung screen. Na-share ko na yung sa akin. Nakita nyo na. Para ma-troubleshoot na natin yung ating sharing.
Kita po yung ano, yung DEPC.
Di pa. Ayan, yan. Kaya kailangan tayong mag-share para maano na natin, ma-troubleshoot na natin yung mga sharing problem natin. Hindi pa, wala pa Adeline. Sige lang, try mo yung ano, nakalagay doon kasi, ang isi-share mo yung screen. Try mo ulit, share screen.
Kita.
Kita na. Okay. So, DevC ang gamit mo. Sige nga, i-run mo nga. Ayun.
Ganito po lalabas.
Diba? Na-troubleshoot na natin. Nauna ang may plus sa DevC. Si Adeline. Okay. 10 points. Okay, good. Thank you. Next.
Thank you, ma'am.
Followed by James or Kales. Sige, troubleshoot na natin yung mga sharing problem natin. James. Pagkatapos ni James, si Diane. Troubleshoot na natin para ano, share screen yan, yung screen mismo.
Will lang po. Paano
Punta ka sa ano, i-click mo yung share. Tapos, pagbaba nun, may makikita ka nakalagay, presenter mode, tapos screen, tapos
ito
window. Yung screen.
Ito.
Ayan. Screen dapat. Ayan. O, diba? Galing-galing. Okay, sige. Ayan na. Anong gamit mo, James?
Visual Studio Code po.
Sa Visual Studio Code. Okay. So, nandun sa baba, hello world. Ayan, o, diba? Good. Kailangan magawa na natin yung mauna para yung mga susunod na sharing, hindi na tayo problema. Okay, next. Oh, Dayan. Sinabi ko na yung susunod, di ba? Kanina. Si Dayan. Ayan. Okay. Okay. Oh, run. Ayun. Hello world. Hello si world. Okay, next. Natapos si Dayan. Followed by sino ba yung nasa listahan natin? Nahihilo ako. Mark Joseph. Alice. Pagkatapos ni Alice, si Aljon.
Okay na po, ma'am. Na-share na po.
Naka-share ka na ng iyong desktop. Ayan. Okay. So, code blocks gamit mo. Sige, run mo nga. Ayun. O, diba? May guhit pa. Alright. Thank you. Aldon. Para, makita na natin. Kasi bago yung gamit natin ngayon. Ayan. Aldon. Sige nga. Wow. Okay, thanks. Next.
Okay na to?
Oh, okay na. Si Daniel?
Oo.
John Molina?
Mamay yung malabas na po.
Oh, lumabas na. I-click mo na lang yung ano. Ano bang gamit mo?
Ito po. DevC po.
Oh, ayan. Ayan na yung DevC. Sige, i-run mo nga.
Ayan po mo.
Ayun. Oh, ayan, lumitaw na si Hello World. Salamat. Next, si Rances. Mark. Okay. Ayan. Sige nga, run mo. Ayun. Hello, Mark. O, diba? Yung kanyang Hello World ay Hello, Mark. Salamat, Mark. Next, Paulo. Belen. Okay. Alright, salamat, Paulo. Next, si Yuri.
Wait lang po, ma'am.
Yuri, ikaw pa rin bang magsasabi kung oras na?
Pwede naman po.
Okay.
Wait lang. Paano po ulit mga ganun? Share
Doon ka sa share. Tapos, baba ka, makikita mo yung nakalagay screen. Yung screen ang piliin mo. Ayan. O, diba?
Dito na po.
Hassle. 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 Okay, ang alas 6. Okay. Okay, good. Salamat. Salamat, Yuri. Yuri, palalahanan mo ko ng oras na, ha? Sige.
Wait lang po.
Next, si Archer. Archer Shane. Kailangan, kukuha lang ako ng maiinom.
Kita nyo ba?
Halika.
Yes, boss, kita.
Na Archer. Ayun. Salamat. Okay, next. Erika. Ayun. Okay. Okay, salamat. Ayan, say hello world. Yan yung naka-ano ka, no? Programming hero. Okay.
Yes po.
Okay, thank you. Next, Rose Ann.
Wait lang po, ma'am.
Sige. Ano? Ano, nangangalbit na naman. Ayan. Okay, run mo nga. Iba talaga pagka may knowledge siya ng programming, no? Pwede nang paglaruan yung ano, no? Okay. Sige nga. Thank you. Thank you, Rose Ann. Next, si Rochelle Policarpio.
Sige lang.
Sige. Andiyan lang yan sa baba. Nakita mo sa ano mo. Click mo lang yung ano. Ano bang gamit mo? Nangyari.
Wait po, ma'am. Website po.
Ando lang yung sa baba. Click mo lang. Ayan, oh. Sige. Ayun. Okay. Sige, run. Ayun. Salamat. Next. Rochelle.
Ma'am, tapos na po.
Ay, ito pala yun. Sorry. Si Gerald Palileo.
Kita na po, ma'am. Hello. Ito na po.
Teka lang. Wala ko ng kita.
Sige po.
O, ayan. Tapos,
Run ko na po.
aral na. Okay, good. Salamat,
Thank you po.
Gerald. Next, si Joanne. Ako.
Ma'am, okay na po.
Asan yung output niya? Compiling. Ayun. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Next, si Jane. Jane Sombrito. Wala na.
Ma'am, kita na po.
Oh. Ano yung gamit mo? Ay, Visual Code.
BS code.
Ayun, sa baba. Okay. Thank you. O, diba? Maganda talagang pinapasadahan na natin yan eh. Next, si Melody. Ayan. Yan na naman ang background mo. Ayun. Okay. Thank you. Next, si Noel Escoltero. Okay. Good. Salamat. Next, si Wilmer. Ano nangyari? Bakit ako na-mute? Sino nag-mute sa akin? O, nasa si Escoltero. Ayun. Okay. Salamat. Salamat. Si Wilmer pala yun. Sorry. Si Wilmer pala yung nag-share. Sorry. Si Christina, next. Manuson.
Ma'am, di pa po ako nag-share.
Ay, sorry. Wilmer. Ikaw pala. Ang bilis naman ni Miss Payne. Ayun. Hello, world!
Kita na, ma'am.
Yep. Sige, run. Ayun. Okay. Thank you, Wilmer. Next, si Manuson. Maria Cristina. Okay. Thank you. Ayan. Niran na. Okay, next. Si Jelaine. Ano ba? Alamok. Debsy. Okay. Tamat. Mariton, next. Okay. And then, yes, run. Ayan. Okay. Thank you, Mariton. Next. Miss Velasco. Admit. Admit. Ayun. Okay. Thank you. Next. Gian. Ano bang nangyayari dito kay Jane? Meeting. Natulog. Okay. Yan, salamat. Okay, next. Si Melvin. Ayan. Okay. Sige, run. Individual. God. Oh, okay. Thank you. John Mark, Mabandos. Okay. Next, si Kyla. Riola. Cute naman nun. Sino yun? Okay. Thank you, Kyla. Next. Orcales. Teka, natawag ko na ba si Orcales? Di pa? Di pa, no?
Opo.
Natawag ko kita eh. Si Isaiah.
Wait lang, ma'am. Wait lang.
Yodi.
Kita na po, ma'am.
Yes. Pakiram. Okay. Thank you.
Sige po.
Okay. Gabriel, next.
Kita na po, ma'am.
Yes. Code blocks. Oh, run. Ayun. Thank you, Gabriel. Next, si Jaren.
Ma'am, wait up.
Sige. Ayun. Salamat, Jaren. Next, si Jania de la Merced.
Correct po, ma'am.
Salamat. Okay. Thank you. Next, si Edmeline Ibanez.
Wait lang po.
Okay. Okay, so sinong hindi ko pa natawag? Teka lang. Parang natawag ko na ata lahat. Seymour. Wala nga, chinecheck ko lang. College. Ang galing, Jalaine, mong college ka na. Diba?
Hindi po, sa Google Meet po yun.
Kaya nga eh. Dito ano na, yung official mo na ano.
Opo.
Oh, si Sam. Hindi ko pa natatawag si Samuel. Lera. Samuel? Oh, diba? Tama ako. Hindi pa naka-dev siya. And run. Ayun. Okay. Thank you. Victor. John Victor, natawag na ba kita? Hindi pa, no? John Victor. Paramdam ka. Parang hindi pa kita natawag. John Victor, anong nangyari? Asan na siya? John Victor? Okay. Anyway. NR siya, no reply. Ano kaya nangyayari dito? Nahanapan ko siya ng reply. Okay. Now, let's go back to our discussion, no? So, nakapag first program na tayo, no? So, let's look at C. Okay, i-share ko lang yung aking screen. Share screen. Include sound. And screen. Alright. So, pakinggan natin si Bucky.
What is going on, guys? It's Bucky and welcome to your second C++ tutorial. And in this tutorial, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be breaking apart this computer program that we ran in the last tutorial. So if you remember, whenever we first created a project in CodeBlocks already made a very simple computer program for us to run and test out just to make sure.
Class, may naririnig ba kayo?
Meron
Yes
po.
po.
Okay. Kasi, may nakikita rin kayo? Yung video?
Yes po.
Okay,
Yes po,
good.
ma'am.
Confirming lang.
Sure everything was working, and all it did was it printed out hello world on the screen. So if you go ahead and build and run this, we see that it just says hello world and some other computer stuff that isn't really relevant. But anyways, all this computer program does is print out hello world. And before I get into breaking this apart and telling you what each piece does, I want to say one thing. You would think, since computer programs are just made up of a bunch of lines of text, that we can learn each line one at a time. But computer programs are weird in that this is pretty much the most simple program you can write. And check it out, there are already 7 different lines included here. So in order to even write a most basic program, you need to code at least 7 lines of code. So it seems kind of confusing, and I just want to give you guys a warning. As long as you can get through this video, all the rest of the videos are going to be incredibly easy. This is the only one where I have to throw a bunch of information at you, but still I'm going to break it down as easy as possible. And the reason for that is because you need so many things in order to run such a simple program, but once you understand the basics, everything else is just smooth sailing, I promise. So let me go ahead, and we're going to be getting more in depth in each of these lines, but for now let me just give you guys a brief introduction to what each line does. Let's go ahead and start at the top and work our way down. This include IO stream line right here, this is technically called a pre-processor directive. So if you're taking a test, if you're watching these tutorials because, you know, maybe you're in C++ class and your teacher's kind of confusing you, answer on the test, this is a pre-processor directive. Now what that means in everyday terms is it pretty much says, alright, we're going to be including a file in this program that we're going to be using later on. So it's going to be including a file, IO stream, that we didn't make. We didn't make this file, but it needs it to run this program later on, so that's why it needed to include it. Again, we're going to be talking more about header files later on, but for the basics of this tutorial, all you need is that to know that this line includes a file that our program needs to use later on. Now, the next line you can see is just a blank line. And you may say, alright, do you need this blank line? Do you not need it? Blank lines and spaces, you can have a million of them if you want, or you can have none of them, just like that. All blank lines do in programming is they make the program easier to read. Just with a book or a magazine or a newspaper, sometimes you want blank lines between your code, sometimes you just want your code to write under each other. It's personal preference. People, you know, whatever you want. Blank lines just make it easier to read, so whatever is easier for you, add as many lines or as less lines as you want. And that brings me to another point. These tabs too, see this is kind of tabbed out or tabbed in, it's the same thing. Some people tab things in, make it easier to read. This program is just going to run just fine if it's just like that. But, you know, people just like to line certain things up, so you'll see later on once we get coding that tabs and spaces and blank lines, they don't really mean anything significant. They just make the program easier to read. So that being said, under that blank line is this using namespace STD. And believe it or not, this does not stand for sexually transmitted disease. I like to think that, but trust me, it doesn't. It stands for the standard library. And that's another thing that is built in to C++ that is pretty much saying this. We're going to be using all the standard things with C++, nothing fancy. Again, we're going to be going over libraries and stuff in the future, but basically these two lines include things that we're going to need later on. This includes a file, and this includes something called a library, which, you know, is just a bunch of C++ stuff. So with that being said, we know that these two lines include things. Fair enough. So now let's get to the meat and I don't know, meat and potatoes, I guess, of the computer programming, and that's this. This entire thing is called a function. Now, all computer programs are made up of functions, and all functions are things you want the computer to do. For example, whenever we're making programs later on, we're going to make a function to play sounds, and we're going to make a function to draw graphics on the screen. And as you can see, functions are just things that you want the computer to do. So every computer program starts with a function called main. This is how your computer knows where to start. So for example, in a couple tutorials we're going to have a function called main, and like I said, we're going to have another function called play a sound, and we're going to have another function called make a ball bounce around on the screen. And you're going to have all these functions, and your computer's going to say, alright, you gave me all this stuff to do, but how do I know what order to do them in? Well, your computer automatically knows anytime it runs a program to start with the main function. So that's why it's so crucial to name this function main. So in order to make a function, you do this. You first write what type of data you're going to be working with. And what functions typically do is they do some sort of calculations. For example, find the body mass index or calculate the velocity of something. Well, whenever it makes this calculation, it usually wants a number back. an answer, in other words. Well, since we're going to be working with just integers, main always works with integers, so that's why we need that. But again, we'll be getting into that later on. After that is the name of the function, and this one is named main. Don't worry about these parentheses right now, but what we do need to worry about is these little, they're not semicolons, squiggly brackets, I guess they're called, curly braces, I don't know, whatever the heck they are. And this has an opening and a closing curly brace, and in between them you have something called statements. Now all functions are made up of statements, and all statements are basically instructions, and each instruction needs to end with a semicolon. That's why you see every line inside a function ends with a semicolon. For example, if you had a function that says make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, one statement would be get out the bread. The next statement would be put butter on a piece of bread. The next statement would be put jelly on a piece of bread. The next, put them together. The last, put them in your mouth. Bam. You now have a function and a series of statements. Well, all this function did, the main one said, print out something on the screen and return 0. Simple enough. So now you can see the basics of a function, how they're made, and how every function needs to include statements or instructions. So that being said, let's break this down even more. The first statement is saying this. First of all, the C out thing right here, that's called an output stream object, and it's basically used to write characters on the computer screen. That's how we are able to type hello world on the computer screen. So this is always used in conjunction with this. This is called the stream insertion operator. This pretty much takes all this stuff to the right of it and prints it out on the screen. I mean, this is just you know, it's weird symbols, but that's whoever made C++, they decided to use these weird symbols to print out something on the screen. Why they did it, I don't know. You have to take it up with them. But anyways, this is basically how you print out stuff in the screen. So this prints out hello world, and then this pretty much just means end line or go to the next line. So this line right here is pretty much just saying print something out on the screen. Now this last thing I want to talk to you guys about is called the return statement. Now usually, like I said, functions will calculate something like body mass index or velocity, and when they calculate it, it's going to want an answer back. So if I had a function that calculated my weight, it would return 155 or 160 depending on if I ate tacos or not today. Well, the main function should always have return 0, and return 0 means whenever you return 0, it tells your program that it ran fine without any errors. For example, if you had a bunch of extra text right here, your computer program would give you an error and it would never get to this line right here, so it would never return 0. So whenever it does get to this line, it means everything above it ran fine, and return 0 means you are good to go, main ran fine. So I know that was a lot of information to give to you guys for just your first tutorial. But again, like I said, every computer program starts with a bunch of stuff that you need to know, and we're going to be covering each more of these topics in depth, but for now I just want to give you guys a basic understanding of how a computer program is made. So if you don't understand everything completely, then don't worry, you're not alone. You will in the future, I promise. But for now, thank you for sticking with me, and thank you for watching this tutorial. And
okay, so dun sa screen, i-emphasize ko lang yung ano natin, yung pagkakaiba ng C at saka C++, no? Tulad nga ng sinabi ko kanina, no? Yung ating extension sa C, .c, no? Dito sa C++, .cpp. Ayan. So, yan yung unang difference. Tapos, dito gagamit tayo ng cout at saka end. In between sa mga statement na gagawin, no? Ayan. So, yan yung isang pinagkaiba. Well, the same na, andyan pa rin yung ating int main. Andyan yung mga preprocessor directives tulad nitong include, no? Yan yung pinaka-folder na papasukan ng ating mga function at saka mga statement. Andyan pa rin si ellipsis or si curly braces na open at saka close at yung return, no? So, kung ano man yung ginagamit yung pang-close, whether return or yung, kasi 'di ba may mga sariling pang-close yung ibang ano, tulad ng Visual Studio. visual code, meron siyang sariling pangsarado. So, ganun pa rin, no? So, ang pinagkaiba lang itong see out at saka yung hello world. Ayan. So, meron na tayong sample. Nag-sample na tayo ng ano natin, ng hello world.
What's going on, guys? It's Bucky and welcome to your third C++ tutorial. And
So, bago ko to simulan, tingnan lang natin yung sa basic structure. So, ayan yung ating basic structure. Okay, the same. Ayan yung ating output. Ayan. Okay. So, doon na tayo sa next. Ayan. So, after the basic concept, na ito naman yung ating variable memory concept, no? Ayan. Okay. So, let's listen to our si Bucky, no? Ayan. Printing. Dagdagan pa natin more on printing text.
in this tutorial, I want to go over a little more about printing text out on the screen. Now, in the last tutorial, you remember that we could use that special thing called cout, which was technically called the output object, and the less than sign, which was called the stream insertion operator, to print out text on the screen. And the way we did this is we added double quotes after, and whatever we printed out in these double quotes, like boy, I love bacon, whatever we put inside those double quotes would just print out on the screen. So if we go ahead and we built and run this, we saw boy, I love bacon right on the screen. Simple enough. But now what I want to go over is just a little more about cout, and I just want to make sure you guys understand how it works. So each function is made up of these things called statements, and typically people put one statement per line of code, and remember, all statements end with semicolons. So say we wanted to print out something else out on the screen, well, you'd write cout less than and write something else like and ham, just like that. So you might be thinking, alright, I got a feeling I know what this is going to do. On the first line it's going to print out boy, I love bacon, and on the second line it's going to print out and ham, because you know that's how it appears in our code, so that's what it's going to do. But if you go ahead and build and run this, it says boy, I love bacon and ham, all on the same line of code. And if you're scratching your head saying, alright, why exactly does it do that? The reason it does that is because when you're using this thing called cout, it's called printing it out into a stream, and it pretty much takes all your characters and prints them out in the same stream. So whenever this stream is done, you're not telling it to move to a new line, you're just saying print out these characters and then stop right at the end of this line. So then this stream starts printing out, and again, you're not telling it anywhere to move to a new line. Computer programs are very picky, and they need to be told exactly what to do. So in order to move to a new line, we need to add a special symbol, I guess you would say, and the symbol is this. First of all, you need to add another stream insertion operator, and you can go ahead and write ENDL. What this means is end line. And now when we go ahead and build and run it, check what happens. It runs boy, I love bacon, and then it runs end line. And before, your stream insertion operator would be right here, but now since you said end line, it go ahead and it ends this line and it moves it to a next line. So basically all you have to remember is anytime you want to move to a new line, use the character end L, which is code word for end line. Now if you're saying, alright, that's easy enough to remember, so let me go ahead and show you something that might be even easier for you. Inside your quotation marks, if you go ahead and add \n, this is basically the same as adding a new line. \n is the code, I guess that all is code, for go to a new line. So now it's going to say boy, I love bacon, and then it's going to come across this thing called \n. It's going to say, hold on, what is this \n? Oh, I know what it is. It's the symbol to move to a new line. So this is basically just an alternative way to move to new lines. The only difference is when NL, you needed to add another insertion operator and then write NL right there. With a new line, you write it inside the quotation marks because it gets interpreted in a different kind of way. So let's go ahead and build and run this and just verify that, yep, boy, I love bacon, new line, and ham. So again, like I said, whenever you want to print text out on a new line, you have to be very specific with C++ and tell it exactly what to do. And you can do this either using the NL or the new line that goes inside the quotation marks. So aside from this, you might be thinking, alright, so I printed this out and I got this on the next line, but what if I wanted a blank line in between these two? Well, all you would have to do is write new line, and then when you go ahead and you build and run this, it'll say, alright, boy, I love bacon, new line, and then it printed out, and ham. Simple enough. Pretty cool, huh? And I guess one other thing I can show you is if you go ahead and do cout insertion operator, you can do things like this: boy, new line, I, new line, love, new line, bacon, new line. So you're not only limited to one new line per statement. You can have multiple new lines in a single statement. So now it says boy, I love bacon. Pretty cool, huh? So that's all the basics I want to teach you guys for this tutorial. Again, I wanted to stress how to print out text on the screen, and also the stream insertion operator. It's basically this: each stream insertion resumes its printing out wherever the previous one stopped. So if you want to move it to a new line, you need to use one of these new line symbols, either NL or new line. So that's all I have for you guys in this tutorial. Now you should be a pro at printing text out on the screen. So we're not ready to bundle up this program and sell it to Microsoft yet, but hey, it's a start. So thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, go to my website, thenewboston.com, and ask me on my forum. So
you join done.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to your 4th C++ tutorial. And
okay, so that is just another way of putting the lines to another line. Sorry, yung new line niya, no? Para magkaroon siya ng para kumbaga sa PHP ang tawag doon ay break, no? Parang bini-break mo lang siya, no? Para mapunta doon sa next na line, no? Okay. So this time, ito naman yung sa variable.
in this tutorial, I'm going to be going over something called variables, because variables are such a huge part of C++. I can't stress this enough. So let's go ahead and tap into our memory banks and try to remember back in like 7th grade when you first started learning about variables. And if you can't remember, let me give you a brief history lesson. Variables are basically just placeholders. That's all they are. So let's go ahead and say we had a variable named x, and we set it equal to bacon. Well then, whenever we would have a sentence like Bucky loves x, we knew that x equals bacon, so this meant Bucky loves bacon. Simple enough. So let me give you guys another quick example. Say x was equal to 7. So then when we had a statement like 5 plus x, we knew that this meant 5 plus 7. Simple enough. So as you can see, a variable is basically just a placeholder. Now, let me go ahead and show you guys how to make variables in C++. In C++, in order to make variables, you go ahead and first write the type of variable you're going to be working with. Now, I'm going to be going over data types later, but for now, I want to give you guys one data type, and that's int. This stands for integer, and an integer is pretty much like a whole number, like 6, 83, 540. It's a number without a decimal place. So now that you gave C++ the type of data you're going to be working with, you need to go ahead and name your variable. Go ahead and name it anything you want. I'm going to go ahead and name mine tuna. So now it has a type and a name. So now all we have to do is use the equal sign and set it equal to a value. So since this has to be equal to a whole number, let's set it equal to 6. It doesn't matter what whole number you set it equal to, but I just like 6. It's easy to type. So now we have the variable tuna, and C++ knows that it's an integer and it's equal to the value of 6. So now what can we do with variables? Well, just like we can print out text on the screen, we can also print out variables just as easy. So if you went ahead and said cout and just go ahead and print it out tuna, we can go ahead and build and run this, and it would print out not the word tuna, but it would print out 6. just like that. So that's pretty cool, and that's the basics of variables and how we can use variables in C++. And actually, in this tutorial, what I was planning on doing is building a simple calculator. Let me go ahead, and I guess I have time for this. Let's go ahead and make two variables, and I'll show you guys another cool thing that you can do with C++. Let's go ahead and make int. Make a variable called a, and we'll set it equal to 4. Let's go ahead and make another variable called b, which is of course an integer because that's the only type we know right now. And we'll set this equal to 21 or something. Doesn't matter as long as they're both numbers. Now let's go ahead and make another variable called sum, and this sum is going to be equal to a plus b. So now you can see, aside from, well, let's go ahead and, yeah, that's good enough. So now you can see that aside from just assigning variables numbers just like that, you can also use basic arithmetic to set variables equal to another value as well. So now the value of 25a plus b is going to be equal to sum. So now if you go ahead and print out cout sum, and then we go ahead and we build and run this, check it out. It prints out 25 on the screen. Pretty cool, huh? So again, in this tutorial, I want to show you guys that in order to make variables, go ahead and write the data type, what do you want the name of the variable, or excuse me, what you want the name of the variable to be, and what you want the value of the variable to be. And then, aside from just assigning variables basic values, you can also use basic arithmetic like a plus b, b minus a. You could have done that. Let's see, if you had b minus a, let's go ahead and see what the value of that is. 17. So again, you can go ahead and set variables equal to basic arithmetic using other variables, and you can even do this. Sum equals 48 minus 7. Again, this isn't really the sum anymore. It's more of a what is it? Not the product, not the quotient, the difference. There we go. That's what there we go. I got it. So again, you understand the basics of variables. That's what I'm trying to stress. So in the next tutorial, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be showing you guys how to make a very basic calculator. And this is the first program we're going to be building that actually interacts with the user, and it's going to be awesome. And you needed to understand variables before I could show that to you guys, so that's why I had to go over this tutorial. But for now, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.
Okay, so that is variables, no? So yung variable, okay, ito yung concept na no, para matuto tayong mag-initiate ng logic doon sa ating gagawin, no? So first, we declare, no, yung ating variables, whether it's an integer or a whole number, no? So meron tayong int, kung ano yung int x, tapos lalagyan natin ng value si int, yung nakalagay kung sino. Halimbawa si x, anong value ni x, si y, dun sa ating mga statement, si z, no? And then kung ano yung gagawin dun sa statement. Katulad nito, ito ay result, no? Ibig sabihin sum, no? So, and then, ayan, nagawa siya ng out, no? Okay. So, gawin nga natin itong code. Okay. Let's do a practice for variable, no? So, itong code na ito, ang output niya ay 35. So, yung variable na dineclare ay XYZ, tapos binigyan natin ng value yung ating variable, and then nag-addition, which is a sum, no? Okay. So, ganito yung gagawin natin, no? Yung code natin, una muna natin gagawin is sum. Let's try, kompletuhin natin yung addition, subtraction, multiplication, and then division, yung 4. So, ang gagawin nyo lang, pabaguhin nyo lang yung ating yung ating gagawin sa statement. Halimbawa, dito sa result, pag subtraction, ang lalabas dito, hindi dapat sum, kundi difference. So, tatlong ganito ang gagawin natin. Hindi, sorry, apat. So, ka-copy-paste nyo lang, papaltan nyo lang yan dyan, no? So, yun yung gagawin natin para dito sa ating practice ng variable. Naintindihan ba, class? O gusto nyo ulitin ko?
Yes.
Okay, kaya? O, sige. Ilalagay ko na to. So, simple lang. Para dito sa practice natin ng variable, kailangan lang na, kasi ang nakasample dito ay addition. So, papaltan nyo lang yung mga values, no? Yung next is subtraction, meaning dapat difference yon. And then next is multiplication, meaning that would be product, dun sa word na sum. And then yung division, which is yung quotient. Okay? Gets ba? Okay? Okay, let's practice. Ilalagay ko na to sa ating okay. Copy. Nasaan na yun? Okay. Ayan na, class. Okay, gawa na. Sige. Meron naman nakatapos agad. Ang bilis naman.
Ma'am, pagsasama-sama po ba lahat?
Oo, pagsasama-samahin nyo. So, ang gagawin nyo, copy-paste nyo lang ito. Tanggalin nyo lang yung nakalagay na dito. Tingnan ko nga, baka may nakatapos na. Okay. Ako rin ay gagawa. Gawin ko na sa let's see.
Ma'am, excuse po. Tatanong lang po.
Ha?
Yung gagawin po ba is sa isang program po, nandun na po lahat ng...
Correct.
Nandun.
Magkakasama yung sum, difference, product, at saka quotient. Ayan. Okay, ito ay bago. Asan yung una? Okay, so yun yung una. Okay. So, papaltan ko to ngayon. Nakikita nyo ba yung screen ko?
Yes po.
Okay. C. Ito ay minus. The result is difference. difference. Okay. See out C. Meron akong ABC. Next naman ay okay na yan. Tapos, papatang ko to. X1. X2. Sorry. Baka na nga lang na yung pinambuko. X. Y. Z. Ayan. X, Y. Nangyari. Ito mga Y. Pwede nyo pautan yung mga values nung int, nung ano nyo, int nyo So, ako yung tiyatamad lang ako. Ito ay multiplication. Multiplying numbers. So, start result in product. BD. X. Basta na. X. Y. Result is product. Okay, last. Okay. This would be AA. Sobra. Easy. And okay. TV. PC. AA. BB. So, ito ay multiplication. That would be an asterisk. Ay, kabalikan ko yung ano. Ito ay multiplication. So, that would be an asterisk. Tinatang ko ba yung minus dun sa taas? O, tinatang ko. So, next is dividing numbers. The result is quotient. This would be ayan. Tama. Okay. Nangyari. Yan nga, ang tama. Alright. Calculate. Okay. So, pwede ako maglagay ng N para maghiwa-hiwalay. Okay. So, saan ako maglalagay ng N? Okay. Mali. N. Sige, nakatapos na.
Meron na po.
Meron na. Sige, nauna sa akin. Naayos ko lang. And some difference product. Oh shit. Ayan nga. Ayun. Nag-iwahiwalay na. Ba't napunta doon? Teka. Okay. So, yun yung concept. Tingnan ko nga kung paano yung ginawa. Magulo lang yan sa akin. Pero, ayan. Naayos natin. Sige. Tingnan natin kung sinong unang mag-share. Sinong unang makakuha ng 10 points. Okay. Chat na. Ito ba to? Bago ba to? Teka lang. Dali. Sino yung natapos kanina? Sino nauna? Eto ba? Sina Mariton ba to? O ano?
Ako po ata unang. Yung huling message po kayo.
Sino yung huling message? Dapat pala
Kay
nag-message.
John Victor Dahak po. Nag-message po siya ng
Nasaan si Dahak?
scroll up niya po.
Scroll up ako, no? Teka lang. Kailangan. Ayan, si Dahak. Done? O mas mataas pa?
Mas mataas pa po.
Mataas pa, nandali. May tinatanong ko kay Dahak kanina eh, no? Naalala ko yun eh.
Ayan po yung
Ayan.
message.
So, ang nauna si Jalaine. Si Jalaine palang nauna. Galing-galing naman ni Jalaine. O, sige, Jalaine.
Yung ginamit ko po, lang, simpleng code lang po.
Sige.
Ito.
Share.
Kita po ba, ma'am? Ito po.
Lapit na.
Ito lang. Pagka next, ito po. Tingnan mo. Simple lang po siya.
Wala pa.
Ay, wala pa, ma'am.
Hindi pa namin nakikita. Kayo ba nakikita nyo na? Ako walang nakikita.
Wait po. Try pa po ulit, ma'am.
I-share screen mo.
Opo, ito.
Ayan.
Okay na po.
Okay. Sige nga. Labas mo. Puro lang. Puro sagot lang.
Yes po.
Okay. Simple. Super simple. Ayan. Okay. Sige. O, si Jeline yung nakakuha ng ng 10 points. Ayan. Naka-record yan na, Jeline.
Opo.
Next. So, yung mga 5 points dyan, Danzig. James. Orcales.
Okay lang po.
Kawawa naman, nasalanta daw si The Jack. Ano na mangyayari sa'yo, The Jack? Nasalanta ka.
Kita na po.
Ayan. Nilagay mo sa unahan. Okay. Sige nga, tingnan ko. Talagang ginawa mo, tuna tsaka dog,
Yung pa po yung variable ng naunang
Ayos lang,
activity.
walang problema. Sige. Okay. Right. Thank you. Okay. Next. Si Dayan.
Tangan na ito si Ma'am.
Paano na mangyayari kay The Jack? Nasa lanta.
Ma'am, hindi ko po binago yung variables ko.
Sige lang, okay
Kung
lang.
kay Jalaine po is, short cut po sa akin ni long term.
Alam niyo naman ako kanya-kanya tayo ng ng style. Ako iniba ko
Ito
yun
po.
sa akin. Ayan. Sige. Tingnan nga natin kung anong output. Basta we arrive at the same conclusion.
Ito.
Ayan. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you po.
Alright. Salamat, Dayan. Rances. Okay. Laki ng mga values mo. Sige. Salamat. Okay. Alright, next. Si Daniel Molina. Kailangan makita natin. Asa na si Molina? Ayan. Ayan. Debsi. Oh. Sige. Ano mo? I-run mo. Ayan, sa kabila. Okay. Right. Thank you. Thank you, Daniel. Next, si Adeline. Okay. Okay, yan naman ang croquet.
Kita na po.
Oo, kita na. Sige. Kanya-kanya tayo ng ng style. Ayan. Alright. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you po.
Sino yun?
Ma'am, hello po.
Oh.
Ma'am, nalaktawan po.
Ha? Sino yun?
Si Yuri.
Yuri, bakit?
Ano po, nalaktawan po, ma'am.
Nalaktawan ka, Yuri?
Opo.
Ay, naku, sorry naman, Yuri. O, ayan. Ikaw na pala yung next.
Okay po.
Oo nga, nakatingin din ako sa chat. Ba't nga ba? Lalampasan kita. Sorry naman. Ayan. Okay. So, ayan naman ang style mo. Sige. Ayun.
Answer lang din po yung
Alam niyo naman ako pagdating dun sa representation, walang problema sa akin. No? Ano yung kanya-kanyang tayo. Basta we arrive at the same output. Okay.
Okay na po.
Okay na, thank you.
Salamat po.
Sorry
Okay
Sorry. Ayan, si Kyla next. Si Adeline ba natawag ko na?
Yes po, ma'am.
Si Kyla nga. Tama. Okay. Teka, ganun mo ng konti. Hindi ko nakikita yung code. Hindi ko pa napansin. Ano mo lang. Ayan. Hindi, nawala tuloy. Ayan, urong mo siya. Ayan, okay. Pareho rin nung yun wala yung style niya ng niya, no? Dito makikita mo talaga yung yung paano ina-approach ng developer yung niya, yung code niya. Ayan, so, okay, salamat Kyla. Next, Aljon.
Kita na po.
Oh, may guhit ka pa, ah. Sige, run mo nga.
Apo.
Ayun. Talagang ginuhitan mo pa, ginitna mo pa, ha? Good job! Paano mo ginawa yung ginitna mo?
Tab lang.
Ha? Tab lang? Ayun. So, dinagdagan mo lang yung Okay. Alright. Sa letter T yung tab. Okay, thank you. Kanya-kanya yung style talaga. Okay, next, si Joanne. Ayan. Coding C++. Ayan pala yan. Ayan. Okay. And then, yung compiling. Okay. Right. Okay. Thank you. Salamat. Alright. Next. Mark, Joseph, Alice.
Kita na po.
Yes.
Ayan po. So, nirepresent ko na po yung value ng x and y. So, 200 po yung nilagay ko sa dalawa. So, dito po, ito na po yung mga functions. Trinay ko po kanina na i-backslash n to, kaso hindi po siya gumana. So, ginanto ko po yung format.
Okay.
Conserve na po ng line.
Tama. Sige nga, ato mo nga. Ayun.
Yan po. So, 200, 200.
So, nilagyan mo rin yung nilabas mo rin yung value. Okay.
Difference po is 0. Yun po.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Salamat, Alice. Next, si Gabriel. Saklot. Okay. Okay. Okay, good. Salamat, Gabriel. Next, si Mark Rances.
Tapos na po.
Tapos ka na. Kung nga naman.
Nakapit na po ata. Sorry po.
Okay. Rose Ann. Hernan. Rose Ann.
Wait lang po.
Naulit lang yung comment mo, no? Mark.
Nakikita po, ma'am.
Yes. Ayun. Okay. Right. Thank you. Thank you. Next. Maria Cristina Manuson. Nangyari. Share screen. Screen ka ate. Para Ayan, nandiyan ka na. Click mo na lang yung yung ginagawa mo kanina. Okay, she's trying to figure it out. Kaya mo yan. Sige, ulit. Ayan, nandiyan ka na. Ibaba mo lang yung yung Teams. Baba mo lang yun. Nakikita mo yung kung saan ka naroon. Ayan, diba? Diba? Sige. Run. Ayun. Diba? Ayos. Okay, iba naman style niya. Sige, thank you. Next. O, John Victor, anong nangyari na? Bakit na nangyari? Nasa ano ka ba?
Ayos na, ma'am.
Ayos na? Nasa
Opo.
lanta ba yung lugar nyo?
Hindi naman, ma'am.
Hindi
Umanggi
naman.
lang.
Konti lang. O, nakasurvive ka naman?
Opo, ma'am.
Sige. Share.
Nakashare na, ma'am.
Ayan na. Okay. So, iba naman ang style niya. Sige nga, run mo nga. Oh, andun yung value. Pinakita mo rin yung ano. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Ulit natin.
Thank you, ma'am.
Salamat. Okay, next. Si Gian Ramon Francisco. Nangyari dito. Ayun. Iba naman ang style nito. Okay. Ah. Okay, salamat. Alright, next. Si Edmeline Evanez.
Wait lang. Kita na po?
Ayan, nakita na.
Run ko na po.
Sige, run. Ayun. Iba naman ang style niya. Okay. Salamat, Edmeline.
Thank you po.
Okay, next. Si John Mark Mabandos. Teka, napagod ko na ata ito ah. Napagod na ba kita, John Mark? Hindi pa.
Hindi pa po.
Okay. Sorry.
Kita na po, ma'am.
Ayan na.
Run ko
Sige.
na po siya. Ito po yung code.
Oh, nilagyan mo pa ng kulay ha. Sige.
Opo.
Namumula. Yung pala yung 4F. So, 4F is red. Okay.
Opo.
Ano,
Tas
favorite,
white po.
favorite color mo ba yung red?
Hindi po. Nagustuhan ko lang po yung combination kasi kita po siya.
Okay. Okay.
Okay na po.
Thank you. Diba?
Thank you,
Kanya-kanyang
Rick.
style talaga. May kulay pa. Oh, next. Si Rochelle.
Okay, pwede na.
Rochelle Policarpio.
Ano? Wait lang.
Ayan na. Okay.
Ganun pa rin yung kulay?
Gusto mo? Kulay itim. Ayan. Okay. Alright. Thank you. Ano naman ang style niya. Okay. Salamat, Rochelle. Next, si Gerald. Ayan. Si Gerald. Okay. So, nag-float siya. Nag-float ka? Bakit? Meron ka bang decimal?
Kasi po
dyan?
meron yung
yung
decimal.
quotient. May decimal. Okay. Salamat. Good job. Okay. Galing nakuha niya yung quotient. Ako, hindi ko naisip kanina doon sa aking ginawa. Pwede bang mahati yung ginawa ko? Inisip ko tuloy sa akin. Okay. Good job, Gerald. Next, Melody. Okay. Sige nga, run mga... Okay. Thank you, Melody. Next, si Archer. Si Archer. Iba naman ang style mo, no? Kanya-kanya tayo ng style. O, yan. Sige, salamat, Archer. Next, si Erica. Erica Nicole. Norte. Pwede ba tayong mag-break for 15 minutes? Just 15 minutes.
Okay lang po, ma'am.
Ha? Okay lang?
Yes po.
Okay lang. Yuri,
Okay lang.
Yuri,
Ano po?
asan ka? Yuri, i-remind yung class na babalik na, ha? Sige. Yung alas 5, so alas 5 tayo, tapos break tayo for 15 minutes, no? Okay. Sige, break muna tayo for 15 minutes. Balik tayo ng 5:15. 5:16, sorry. Ayan. Okay. Sige.
Okay po.
I-ready nyo na lang dun sa, dun tayo nag-end kay, kay Erica. Hindi pa siya nakakapag, Sige, Erica, break muna, ha? O, sige. Tingnan lang ako ng ready ka na? Nagtatago. Ha? Hindi ka rito. Hindi ka nagtatago, ha? Bakit? Ano nangyari sa'yo? Bakit? Hindi ka nagtatago. Ano nangyari? Ha? Hindi nakabreak ako. Sandali lang. Bakit? 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 Ano nangyari? Ka nagtatago doon, ha? Nakatulog ka ba? Mika? Mm. Thursday ay discrete at saka sa program I-3. Sa may aris, hindi nila pinapos yung aris. Tutunan lang. Nangyari? Bakit? Nangyari? Nangyari sa'yo? Oh, that's the one you...
Yeah. Now you saw that. I don't know if you read that or not.
Yeah, I was trying to read it.
If you have time, it's long. But she's when I have the meeting with 9 p.m.
Uh-huh.
She's the next one level up, so I don't know if she will take my side or if she'll help or what. I don't know. But what?
I'm just opening a little bit.
Oh no, I'm okay. So yeah, it'll be Monday at 9 p.m. No, excuse me, Thursday night, tomorrow night, 9 p.m. So I'm kind of anxious about that because I don't know if she'll just say, oh, you know, fuck you too, and just say, oh, nah, you misunderstood it, miscommunication, some bullshit like that. I'm sure she's already talked to those other 3 guys that we saw in the email. Clint, Dan, Emmanuel, and I'm sure all 3 of them are going to be against me, no matter what. Point that around and see what she does. Gonna do that? No. So are you strong enough to do that? You got another class?
We're in a break.
Oh, okay. Oh well. Wish you keep this. Should you have had this when you met the mayor the other day?
We'll be back.
Oh,
It's already 5:15.
Oh, okay. Let me pick the gun somewhere here.
Okay. Diyan na ba kayo? Are you back? Okay, balik na tayo. Oh. Tayo ay nag-end kay Erica. Erica? Diyan ka ba, Erica? Ayan na. Alright. Okay. Okay. Alright. Thank you. Thank you, Erica. Next, si Jane. Jane Sombrito. Jane.
Hello, ma'am.
Oh.
Sorry po, ma'am.
Oh. Ready ka na? Ayan. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Ito na.
Okay. O, iba naman yung style mo. Okay. Okay. Right. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Alright, next. Si Mariton De Paz. Okay. Medyo okay. Alright, good. Salamat, Mariton. Right, next, Melvin. Melvin R. Aquino. Okay. Sige nga, i-run mo. Sige, run mo, kuya. Nangyari. Nagahang ba yung PC mo, Melvin?
Mabagal po, ma'am.
Bumagal. Mga maraming bukas. Ayun. Ayan, lumitaw
Okay na po.
Okay. Thank you, Melvin. Next, si Paulo.
Kita na po ba?
Yes. Okay. Good. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you rin po.
Right, next. Si Jaren.
Hello po, ma'am. Ayan po, ma'am.
Ayan. Okay.
Kasi ito po yung output.
Output sa kabila. Okay. Thank you, Jaren. Next,
Thank you rin po.
next si Edmeline.
Parang tapos na po
Ay,
kanina.
tapos ka na. Kasi umulit ka dito eh. Ayan o. Nakikita mo yung chat. Okay, next. Si Janina. De La Merced.
Ang ganyan! Ang ganyan! Ang ganyan kaliho! Bakit? Ang problema? Ha?
Okay. Okay.
Nakalimutan ko na nakabukas pala yung Discord ko.
Okay. Next.
Oops. Okay. Sorry.
Natawag ko na si Dajak. Natawag na ba kita, Dajak? Parang naalala ko natawag na kita. Nga. Okay. Next. Si Wilmer. Conception.
Kita na,
Ayun.
ma'am.
Okay. Ayan, kita na. Sige. Run. Ayun. Okay. Thank you, Wilmer. Next. Si Cristina Velasco. Ayun. Okay. Medyo mahaba-haba. Ito talaga style, no? Okay, thank you. Yuri.
Natawag na po.
Sabi ko na nga ba eh. Nari nandito eh. Ayun, nagtampo na raw si Yuri. Sorry naman. Si Noel Escultero. Ayan. Urong mo ng konti. Ayan. Okay. Ang simple lang nung ano niya. Okay, thank you. Linis. Alright, next si Samuel. Okay. Alright. Okay. Yeah, good. Thank you. Thank you, Sam. Alright, so that is variables. Okay, so balik tayo dun sa ating lesson. Okay, so, ayan. And then you have identifiers. These are symbolic names. Teka lang, nagbabasa ako. Wala kayong ano. Hindi ako nakashare. Hindi ako nakashare, ano? Hindi nga. Okay. Alright. Lagyan ko na rin ng sound just in case mag-play ako ng video. Ayaw lumipat. Ayaw lumipat. Ayun. Okay. Okay. So, nakikita niyo ba yung screen ko? Nakalagay identifiers.
Yes po.
Okay. Alright. So, kasama to dun sa variable memory concept, no? Okay. So, again, ulitin ko lang kasi kanina hindi ako nakashare. Symbolic names. Identifiers are symbolic names that can be used in C++ for various data items used by programmer in his program, no? So, the symbolic name is generally known as identifier, no? So, the identifier is a sequence of character taken by C++ character set in previous X, Y, Z as identifiers of the variable. So, ano yung rule? The rule of for the formation of identifier are an identifier can consist of alphabet, digits, and underscore. And or underscore. It must start with a digit, no? C++ is a case-sensitive that is uppercase and lowercase letters are considered different from each other, no? So, pag naglagay kayo dyan ng A na capital, tapos naglagay kayo ulit ng A na small, no? So, it is considered na magkaiba, no? Ganun ka case-sensitive yung C++, no? So, pag naglagay kayo ng A na malaki, that is different from A na maliit, no? Na lowercase. Now, these are some of the keywords, reserved keywords for C++, which have predefined meaning when compiled, no? These words may not be used as identifier. So, hindi to pwedeng gamiting identifier. No? So, we have ASM, break, char, const, cast, delete, dynamic, cast, explicit, false, friend, inline, mutable, operator, public, return, size of, no? So, medyo marami to. Yan. Pagka auto, case, class, continue, no? Else. So, kung medyo mahihirapan kayong tandaan, mag-refer na lang kayo dito, no? So, yun yung variable, no? So, let's play the next video for Bucky, no?
Alright guys, welcome back to your 5th C++ tutorial, and in this tutorial, since we...
natin yan.
What's going on guys, it's Bucky and welcome to your 6th C++ tutorial, and in this tutorial I want to go over some concepts with variables that are definitely going to help you later on. So the first thing I want to go over is this. You remember in the last tutorial where I told you guys that there are basically two different ways to create variables. The first way is to create a variable called tuna or something and set it equal to a value like 43 all on one line. Simple enough, easy to understand. Well, what I also told you guys you can do is you can declare, aka create it on one line and set it equal to a value on another line, such as that. They're both perfectly acceptable ways to do things. The one thing I wanted to stress is that whenever you do this way, declare on one line and set it equal to a value on another line, you don't need to write what type of variable it is again. Once you give C++ the information of what type of data you're working with, you don't need to list it every time you're working with a variable. C++ will remember that information and, you know, it'll keep it. So whenever you're working with tuna later on, you don't need to explicitly write int, and actually you can't, or else it'll give you an error message. So just make sure that, you know, just remember that don't write int twice on the same variable. So aside from that, let me show you guys this. Int tuna equals 99. So later on, and I didn't tell you guys this, but what you can do is if you set tuna equal to something else, like 76, whenever your computer creates a variable, it sets aside a piece of memory to store that value, in this case 99. Well, whenever you whenever you use that variable again and set it equal to a new value, what your computer is going to do is it's going to wipe out the old value in order to make room for the new value. So now you said, alright, we have a variable called tuna and that's equal to 99. Well, now we have a variable called tuna and we want to set this equal to 76. Well, alright, so we're going to try to print out tuna, and our computer is going to say, alright, should I print out 99 or 76? Well, since we created one originally that was 99 and then we overrode it to make it 76, it's going to print out 76. So let's go ahead and build and run this and see what we get. 76. So basically, whenever you have a value, it's placed in a memory location, and then whenever you give that variable a new value, it's going to overwrite the old value and put it in the same location. So I just want to tell you guys that this is how you can overwrite variables. So if you're expecting 99 and you got 76, this is why. So that's actually all I have for you guys for this tutorial. Again, the two things I want to stress is whenever you're creating a variable, you only write the type once. You don't need to write it every single time. And then whenever you need to reassign a value, you just go ahead and write the variable name and not the type again. And also, whenever you're overwriting a variable, you use the variable and it's going to be equal to the latest value. So whenever you set this equal to 76, it's going to wipe out the 99 and use the 76. So I just wanted to stress those, a couple memory concepts, so then whenever we're building programs later on, you might have a better understanding of how it works. So for now, that's all I have for you guys. In the next tutorial, you know how I said that we're going to be going over arithmetic, like how to add two numbers together? Well, there's actually a bunch of different arithmetic operators that we need to learn, and that's what we're going to be covering in the next tutorial. But for now, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next video. Alrighty guys, welcome back to your
Okay, so yung last na video, ang tatandaan lang natin doon kung ano yung pinaka-last na dineclare mo as value. So yan yung babasahin niya, no? So pwede rin naman ng shortcut ng tuna, no? Pwede mo siyang tawagin ulit at lagyan ng value. Pero ang i-consider niya yung pinaka-latest. No? I-disregard niya na yung una kung hindi yun ang nilagay mo, no? So, yan. Yun lang sa ano ng variable. Kung ano yung latest, yun yung babasahin niya. Okay, so now we'll go for basic arithmetic in C++.
In the C++ tutorial, and in this tutorial, as promised, I'm going to be going over basic C++ arithmetic. Now, I don't know, I think it was like 2 tutorials ago, I gave you guys a variable and I showed you guys that instead of just setting it equal to a plain old value like this, you can use basic arithmetic like 4 plus 6. And then when you go ahead and you print it out, X or anything like that, it actually calculated the value and printed out the answer. So go ahead and run this and you see that X now equals 10, 4 plus 6. So aside from addition, I want to show you guys all the arithmetic operators that you can use, and they're a little bit different than you might expect. So let's start with the easy ones first. The first one is subtraction, and of course, like 8 minus 4, this would be valid. If we go ahead and build this, we saw that the answer would be 4. So addition, subtraction, easy enough. But also, aside from addition and subtraction, you can use multiplication. But make sure not to use X like that, because that'll mess up. In order to multiply in computer programming, you use the asterisk, and that's the symbol above the 8 on your keyboard. And what this is going to do is multiply these two numbers, 8 times 4. So now if you go ahead and run this, we should get 32, and check it out. 32, just like that. So let's go ahead, and before I go over this, let's go ahead and go over division. In order to use division in computer programming, let's go ahead and take 81 divided by 3. Division, the symbol for this is the /. So let's go ahead and take 81 divided by 3, and we get 27, just like that. Simple enough. But check this out. What if we have something like 81 divided by 2? Well, this, it should be 40, but it has a remainder of 1. So let's go ahead and try to build and run this and see what we get. Well, it just says 40, and that's not entirely right, because it should have a remainder of 1 with it. So we're saying, alright, we're working with integers right here, and we don't know any other data types, so how can we get that remainder? Well, whenever we want to use the remainder, we need to use something called the modulus operator, and that is the percent sign like this. What this is going to do is it's going to give you the remainder of the answer. It's not going to say 40 remainder 1, it's just going to give you that 1. So let's go ahead and build and run this, and you can see that whenever we do 81 modulus 2, it's going to give us the remainder, which is 1. So let me show you guys a better example, maybe 24 modulus 7. Well, we know that 24 divided by 7 is 3 with a remainder of 3. So let's go ahead and build this, and again, it doesn't say 3 remainder 3. It just says the remainder, which is 3. Simple enough. So now that we know all the arithmetic operators, I can begin teaching guys about order of precedence. Now, aside from just, one number, arithmetic operator, another number, you can have complex calculations like 6 times 4 plus 8 times 4 plus 9 divided by 20. And if we go ahead and build and run this, let's see what we get. 56. We're saying, alright, so what order is this doing this in? Is it doing 6 times 4 and then plus 8? Or is it doing, 4 plus 8 and then times that by 6? Because depending on how you do it, it's going to come out with a different result. So the basics is this. If you remember way back in like 7th grade math, you know something called your associative property, and that's pretty much this. Anything that's in parentheses gets done first. If you don't have any parentheses, it goes like this. It does all the multiplication and division, which would be this, this, and this. It's going to do that first, and then it's going to do your addition and subtraction. If you don't have, if you just have like 4 plus 8 plus 7, you're saying, alright, then is it going to do 8 plus 7 first or 4 plus 8 first? It really doesn't matter. It comes out the same either way. The only time you have varying answers is when you have like 4 plus 3 times 7. For example, if you did 4 plus 3, it would be 7 times 7 would be 49. But whenever we run this, whoa, easy box, we get 25. Why is that? Because it uses the associative property. It actually multiplies first, which is 7 times 3, and that's 21 plus 4, which is 25. So again, if you want to explicitly say 4 plus 3 first, you need to surround that in parentheses. So now whenever we build and run this, it's going to run your parentheses first and say, alright, 4 plus 3 equals 7 times 7 equals 49. So remember, the rule is this: parentheses first, then your multiplication and division, and then your addition and subtraction. So remember that, and if you get confused, it's called the associative property. You should have learned it in like 8th grade math or 9th grade math, or maybe 7th grade. I don't know, I can't remember. It was a long time ago. For now, that's all I want to talk to you guys about. Basic arithmetic and how it works in C++. So for now, that's all you guys get. So thank you guys for watching this tutorial. If you have any questions, go to my website, the new...
Okay. So let's try some practical exercise. What? No, again. Basic.
Ma'am?
Oo.
Pwede niyo po i-send yung link ng
link ng?
exercise.
Ito?
Link po ng exercise.
Hindi ko ba naipakita dun sa Wala pa? Teka lang ha. Balikan ko lang. Hindi. Dito. Yun Ito.
Okay po.
3 resource, diba? Tama. W3 resource. Ito. Ayan. Okay. Ayan, balikan lang natin. Doon tayo sa basic. Okay. Let's try working on sum. Okay, gawin natin tong number 2. Since ang pinag-uusapan natin ay yung ating basic. Basic yan Teka, bago tayo para may sample lang tayo muna. No? So, number 2, nakikita nyo ba yung screen? Nakikita? Hello guys, nandiyan pa ba kayo?
Opo.
Okay, so
Kita
write a
po.
program in C to print sum of two numbers. Okay? So, ang output niya ay the sum of 29 and 30 is 59. Okay. So, ano to? Addition, no? So, ito yung ginawa niyang. Okay. Ayan, no? Ayan. So, ito yung code, no? Ayan. Sum. Okay. So, gumamit siya ng namespace. Using namespace std. Tapos, int main. And then, may cout tayo. Okay, yung cout natin, parang print end, no? Ito yung lalabas. Print the sum of two numbers. Ayan. And then, cout. Ayan. Yung line, and then cout sum of 29 and 30. Tapos naandito yung natin, yung function natin, no? 29 plus 30, and then meron siyang nn. Ayan. So ito yung naging output, no? Okay. Right. So try natin yung try natin tong okay, try natin tong number 4. Okay, class? Number 4. Let's write a program in C++ to print the sum of two numbers using variables. Okay, so since variable yung pinag-uusapan natin. So, ito yung magiging output niya. Print the sum of two numbers. So, sum of 29 and 30 is 59. Teka, yun na yun kanina. Anong loko to ah? Loko to. Wala. Wag na. Sorry. Naulit lang. Teka. Ito na lang. Ayan. Ayan. Okay, number 7. Write a program in C++. Display the various type of arithmetic operation. Ayan. So, using mixed data type. Ayan. So, go to, So, sample, arithmetic operation. So, meron siyang plus. May 3.8. Ayan. So, meron tayong dito. Ano bang ginagawa pag may point, no? Okay. Gumawa na kanina niyan, no? Sino nga ba yan? Naglagay ng float. Ayan. Okay. So, gawin nga natin to number 7. Sorry, akala ko kasi yung kanina hindi pa nagawa. Ayan. So, number 7. Practice tayo. Balik tayo dito. Yan. Right. May nakatapos na? O, kanina pa to.
Ako po, ma'am.
Si Jane. Ano to? Kanina pa to? To bago? Okay, sandali lang ano ko lang. Pabalikan ko lang tong Okay. Sino yung nag-ending kanina? Sino yung ending kanina? Nagtampo si Yuri, si Escoltero, si Samuel, natawag na raw siya, si Danzig. Danzig, ikaw ba yung huli? Kasi yung comment na to, yung naalala kong huli. So, nauna si Orcales? Orcales? James? Diyan ka ba?
Sa ano po yan, ma'am? Sa iba po yan?
Sa iba pa to? Adeline? No? De. So, 44. So, most likely dito tayo sa si Noel. Noel, ikaw ba yung una?
Hindi po.
Hindi. Okay. Palileo, no? Si Adeline, no? Adeline?
Opo ata, ma'am.
Melvin? Hindi. Hindi si Melvin?
Hindi po.
Hindi. Okay. So, si Adeline yung una. Okay. Okay, Adeline. Ito na yung pinakauna, si Adeline. Okay. Adeline. Sige nga. Tingnan natin.
Tita na po.
Meron pa tayong 15 minutes. Ayan. Okay. Patingin. Pwedeng lakihan mo ng konti. Ayan. Okay na. Ayan, lumiwanag na yung mata ko. Sorry. Nagano lang kasi yung salamin ko. Ayan, nakita ko na. Sorry. Ayan. Okay. Sige nga. Okay. Gumamit ka ba ng float? Double. Double ang ginamit mo. Okay. Okay din yun. Ayan. Okay. Okay. Good job. Right. Next. So, si Adeline yung nakakuha ng 10 points. Sundan natin doon sa ating comment. Si James Percales. Tama ba? Kasunod mo si Adeline, James. Ayan. Okay.
Opo.
Okay. So, double din. Okay. See out. Aha. Okay. Display. I-display lang naman siya, no? Okay. Okay. Salamat. Salamat, James. Next, si Yuri. Ayan. Alright. Ayan na. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Yuri. Pwede mo kasing i-ganon. Ayan.
Okay po, ma'am.
Okay. Next. Si Gerald Palileo. Okay. Okay. Right. Thank you. Thank you, Gerald.
Yep.
Next. Yes, Gerald? Wala na?
Thank you po.
Okay. Right, next si Jania. Jania de la Merced. Pero i-concise mo ng konti. Ayan. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Next, si Adeline. Tapos na si Adeline, natawag ko na. Diba? Ayan. Si James din. The Jack. Victor. John Victor.
Okay na, ma'am.
I-run mo. Okay. Okay. Right. Thank you. Next. Si, tatago na to si Gerald eh. Next, si Melvin. Okay. Tapos, paki-run.
Sorry po, bagal.
Medyo mabagal yung mo, no? Ayan. Okay, lumitaw na. Okay, thank you. Right. Next, si Jane. Jane.
Kita na po, ma'am.
Kita na. Alright. Ayan. Taas mo nga ng konti yung output. Ayun. Okay. Hi. Thank you, Jane. Next, si Jalaine. Jalaine Roncales. Diba? Ginagamit na natin yung talagang ipilido mo.
Opo.
Dali. Ayan. Okay. Talagang tinulayan mo yan?
Opo. Sa properties lang po.
Sa properties. Okay.
Yes po.
Right. Chat members. Okay, next. Nek, si Alice, Mark Joseph. Right. Okay. Okay, nilagyan mo rin ng color. Anong color yung 1E? Sige nga, run mo nga. Blue. Okay. Nice. Ganda ng kulay. Salamat. Okay. Next, si Samuel Lera. Lera. Oh, bakit? Ayun. Okay. Thank you, Sam. Next, si Erica.
Nakita po, ma'am.
Ayan, pwede na. Makikita ko na yung mukha ko. Ayan. Failed to connect. Ulit. Ayun. Okay. Thank you. Salamat. Next. Si Erica. Si Rochelle Policarpio. Okay. Alright. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Rochelle. Next, si Paulo Belen.
Kita na po.
Okay na. Okay. Thank you, Paulo.
Thank you rin.
Next, si Diane Libay. Okay, thank you, Diane. Alright, next, si Edmeline Ibanez.
Wait lang po. Kita na po.
Yeah.
Okay na po.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Edmeline.
Thank
Next,
you.
si Gabriel Saklot. Ang galing, may reminder yung MS Teams. Nagre-remind siya na last 5 minutes. Okay, Alright, salamat, Gabriel. Next, si Mike Rances. Diba, binibilisan ko na kasi ni-remind na tayo ni MS Teams.
Nasa panig natin ng MS Team.
Oo nga, nasa panig na. Okay. Tapos, ayan. Okay. Good. Salamat, Mark.
Thank you po.
Next, si Mariton. Diba? Kahit hindi na tayo i-remind ni Yuri. Okay. Salamat, Mariton. Alright. Next, si John Mark Mabando. Pula. Okay, 4F. Aray ko, namumula. Okay, next. Si Melody Tapay. Bakit? Ano, nagugutom ka na? Mamaya konti. Malapit na kitang pakainin. Sandali na lang. Sandali na lang. Sandali na lang. Okay. So, double. Right? Okay. Compile. Ayun. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mariton. Next. Sorry. Melody pala. Si
Thank you
Noel.
po.
Noel Escultero. Nalilito na ako. Okay. Binibilisan ko na yun kasi magla-last 3 minutes pa tayo. Okay. Si Noel. Right. Okay. Thank you, Noel. Next. Si Wilmer. Right. Si Wilmer. And then, ayan. Thank you, Wilmer. Next, si Aljon. Kulay blue. Nambo blue. Blue, blue, blue. Okay, thank you. Next, si Gian Ramon. Anay ko naman. Ay, kita mo to, papaluin na naman kita eh. Gian! Ano na nangyari kay Gian? Gian Ramon. Francisco. Ayan. Nandiyan na si Gian. Alright. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Gian. Next. Si Joanne. Felipa. Felipa ka pala. Bala ka. Ayan. Okay, coding C. Tapos, okay, tsura. Ayun. Okay. Right. Thank you. Next, si Jaren Gatica.
Ayan po, ma'am.
Ay, naku. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Jaren.
Ay po, ma'am. Okay po.
Next, yung unang Christina Manuson will be followed by another Christina Velasco. Okay, and then compile and run. Ayan. Okay. Right. Oh, yung isang Velasco na Christina. Ayan. Alright. Naka-ano na siya. Naka-ready na siya. Okay. Thank you. Molina. Followed by Archer. Daniel. Daniel Dan Molina. Okay. Wala si Daniel. Ano nangyari kay Daniel? Asa na si Daniel? Ayan na. Okay, medyo mabagal lang yung net niya. Sige, i-ano mo na. Run. Okay. Processing. Ayun. Na-process din. Okay. Thank you. And then, last but not the least, si Archer. Alas 6 na. Ayan. Ano kayo mangyayari pagka no? Magsasarado kayang kusa tong MS Teams. Ayan. Okay. Salamat, Archer. Okay. So, madami tayong natapos ngayong ngayong session natin, no? Nakaabot tayo dun sa variables. Nag-arithmetic din tayo, no? Okay. Very good, very good. Dami tayong tapos. Okay. I hope you understand the concept. Halos pareho rin lang ng sa C. Kaya lang may mga konting na iba lang sa coding, no? Which is yung cout, no? Dati print ln, no? Cout naman ngayon, no? Ayan. So, yun yung mga major difference. Okay. So, meron ba kayong question dito sa ating bagong C++ na inaaral ngayon? Okay. So, structure, variables. Next is yung basic, and then operators and data type. Ayan. So, yun yung ating natapos ngayong araw nito. Okay? May question? Wala naman?
Wala naman po ata, ma'am.
Wala namang question. Unless may question, pwede nyo namang i-post para masagot natin, no? Okay. Teka lang. I-end ko lang yung ating, ating video. Nawawala yung video natin. Ayan. Okay, so, ang next natin, kailangan natin, syempre, palagi naman natin kailangan is yung done.